Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to say to and from. First, let's talk about how to say to a person. To say to a person, you'll use 에게 after the person. Here are a few example sentences. 빌리 씨에게 주었어요. I gave it to Billy. 지민 씨에게 사탕을 주세요. Please give the candy to 지민. 저에게 한국어를 가르쳐 주세요. Please teach Korean to me. 우리에게 보여주세요. Please show it to us. 저는 의주 씨에게 보냈어요. I sent it to 의주. To say from a person, you'll use 에게서. And this works in the same way by saying 에게서 after the person. So here are some examples of that. 빌리 씨에게서 선물을 받았어요. I got a present from Billy. 선생님에게서 들었어요. I heard it from the teacher. Note that the verb 듣다, meaning to listen, is an exception, and it conjugates as 들어요, or here in the past tense, 들었어요. The diget at the bottom becomes a lir when conjugated in the informal form. 저는 빌리 씨에게서 한국어를 배우고 싶어요. I want to learn Korean from Billy. 지민 씨에게서 받았어요. I got it from 지민. 지민 씨에게서 전화가 왔어요. I got a call from 지민. Note that 전화가 오다, here 전화가 왔어요 in the past tense, literally just means a phone call comes. And this is how you say that there was a phone call. Now, whenever you're saying from a person, the 서 is actually optional. So you can just say 에게 to mean both to and from. Whether it means to or from will always be clear by the context of the sentence. So here are sentences from before. 빌리 씨에게 선물을 받았어요. I got a present from Billy. Saying I got a present to Billy wouldn't make any sense. 선생님에게 들었어요. I heard it from the teacher. This could only mean from. It wouldn't make sense to say I heard it to the teacher. 저는 빌리 씨에게 한국어를 배우고 싶어요. I want to learn Korean from Billy. 지민 씨에게 받았어요. I got it from 지민. 지민 씨에게 전화가 왔어요. I got a call from 지민. And remember that it'll almost always be clear just from the context whether that sentence means to or from. So feel free to just use 에게 for both. So we've learned how to say to and from a person, but if you want to say to and from a location, you're going to need to use the particles 에서 and 까지. Now we've already learned that 에서 can be used to mean from a location. 까지 means as far as or until a location. So here are two examples of that. 집에서 학교까지 갔어요. I went from home to school. 은행까지 가주세요. Please go to the bank or as far as the bank. This is a common way you can ask a taxi driver to drive as far as or up until a location. So remember that the particle 에 can mark either where someone is going or where someone or something is. The particle 까지 can also mark where someone is going to, but it has a slightly different meaning. It means that someone goes up until, someone goes as far as, but no farther than a location. So we learned about using 에게 and 에게서 to say to and from a person, but actually 에게 and 에게서 are more formal particles and they're less common in everyday speech. Instead, you'll actually want to use the particles ante and 한테서. These ones work the same as 에게 and 에게서, so they also mean to and from a person. So to say to a person, you can use 한테 instead of 에게. For example, 아빠한테 주고 싶어요. I want to give it to dad. Or to say from a person, you can use 한테서 instead of 에게서. Or just 한테, like we learned how we can just use 에게. For example, 누구한테 받았어요? Who did you get that from? Note that 한테 and 한테서 should not be used in formal situations, but these particles are not impolite. Now, you might have noticed that instead of saying 한테 and 한테서, I'm saying more like ante and ante서. So let's talk a bit about pronouncing this consonant, 히읗. We learned that due to sound change rules, the 히읗 sound will disappear before the consonant iung. For example, 좋아요 is pronounced as 좋아요 and not as 좋아요. And we learned that if a regular consonant comes before or after 히읗, that regular consonant will become pronounced as a strong consonant and the 히읗 sound will disappear. For example, 좋다 to be good would be pronounced as 좋다 and not 좋다. In fact, anytime this consonant 히읗 comes before or after any consonant in Korean, when speaking, it will get softer or even disappear completely. This is because 히읗 is not the same as an H in English, it's a much softer sound. So here are some examples of that. 전혀 is pronounced closer to 전혀, not 전혀. 올해 is pronounced as 올해, not 올해. 감히 is pronounced like 감히, not 감히. And 전화 is pronounced like 전화, not 전화. And like anything in Korean, the more practice and exposure you get to this concept, the easier it will be for you to use it yourself. There's something else that we also need to learn about using to and from. Anytime you are talking about any sort of communication, this can be asking someone something or calling someone or telling someone, you're going to want to say to that person or from that person instead of using the object marker. Here's an example of that. 빌리 씨한테 전화를 했어요. I called literally to Billy on the phone. 빌리 씨한테 말하고 싶지 않아요. I don't want to say it to Billy, or I don't want to tell Billy. 빌리 씨한테 물어봤어요. I asked to Billy, literally, or just I asked Billy. So remember to always use to or from when talking about any sort of communication. So let's take everything that we've learned so far and put it together with this conversation between two people, 소라 and 유난. First, 소라 says, 저는 내일 뉴욕에 여행하러 갈 거예요. Tomorrow, I am going to go travel to New York. Or more literally, tomorrow I am going in order to travel to New York. 언제 다시 한국에 올 거예요? When will you come to Korea again? 아직 몰라요. I still don't know, or I don't know yet. 거기서 편지를 보내주세요. Please send me a letter from there. 네, 제 남자친구한테도 편지를 보낼 거예요. Okay, I will also send a letter to my boyfriend. 뉴욕에서 어디까지 갈 거예요? From New York to where will you go? Or literally, from New York, as far as where will you go? 뉴욕에서 LA까지 갈 거예요. I will go as far as LA from New York. Or I will go from New York to LA.
저는 내일 뉴욕에 여행하러 갈 거예요. 언제 다시 한국에 올 거예요? 아직 몰라요. 거기서 편지를 보내주세요. 네. 제 남자친구한테도 편지를 보낼 거예요. 뉴욕에서 어디까지 갈 거예요? 뉴욕에서 LA까지 갈 거예요.
So today we learned how to say to and from a person in a couple of different ways, as well as how to say to and from a location. So practice everything in this lesson, and I'll see you guys again next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.